Hey there, we are live from Midtown Comics with Marvel Executive Editor Nick Lowe. Nick, how's it going?
Going great. It's a beautiful day out here in New York City.
Yeah, beautiful, sunshiny, lots of fun.
No, it's a mist, a general fine mist out there. It's beautiful.
Yeah, it's
Beautiful
great.
fall.
Yeah, it means that, Storm's having like a kind of iffy day,
Yeah.
and so she's just making everybody suffer.
She just wants everyone to be irritated.
Yeah. But we're here, of course, to talk about some sensational books. Marvel Legacy is, we're now in month 2
We're
of
in
the
full swing.
Yeah, we're really into the meat of it now. There's been a lot of cool stuff. We didn't get a chance to talk about the Marvel books last week, so we've got 2 weeks of Marvel Legacy titles to talk about. And, with Marvel Legacy, that means we're talking about a lot of really cool stuff.
It's an embarrassment of riches.
Yeah.
Embarrassment of riches. I'm so excited because there's a bunch of my personal books that I edit in here.
Yeah.
And then there's some Tom Brevoort nonsense. But the creators are so good, we'll allow it.
Yeah, we'll humor them.
Yeah.
But there really is a lot of cool stuff. We're going to start by talking about last week's books, and we're going to get started with the brand new issue of X-Men Blue. X-Men Blue issue number 14.
Here we are.
Very cool. Mojo Worldwide Part 4. Of course, it's already on Part 4 because it's in blue and it's in gold. So
Crossing over, the first X-Men Blue, X-Men Gold crossover.
yeah.
And with covers like this by Art Adams, you cannot go wrong.
It really is cool. I think that having Art Adams on covers is so great.
Oh
It's
my
such
God.
because obviously he's been with the franchise since like the 80s.
Yep.
Having done, well, also when you talk about Mojo, he's the guy who did a lot of the old
Oh,
Mojo
yeah.
stuff. He did the original Long Shot.
The
book.
Long Shot miniseries, he did a whole bunch of Mojo stuff in X-Men and
Yeah.
around X-Men. And then, of course, the classic Uncanny X-Men annual,
Mm-hmm.
they did, which wasn't Mojo, but still probably one of the greatest 5 X-Men stories ever.
See, Mojo, and I've joked about it. I hate Mojo. I despise Mojo, but in the good way, in the way where it's like I want to see the X-Men punch him. And this issue really, really got me going. Really cool stuff here because the last couple of issues we've gotten to see the X-Men kind of going through their greatest hits album almost. They're a little bit of a flashback here, flashback there, but this issue we get to see. Mojo's got some new creations that he's coming up with for the X-Men to face off against. We'll show off some of this really cool art by Jorge Molina.
There's no one grosser than Mojo, and that's
This
saying
man
something.
is, he's really disgusting.
Because the X-Men have a lot of super gross villains, but I have to say Mojo is the most gross.
Yeah. But it's really cool, and I'm actually really, really digging the story. It's been a lot of fun. I liked, I like these characters that can kind of bring the entire threat into one place, and we get to see the different facets of the X-Men universe. X-Men Blue has had a lot of guys that have been hiding kind of from public view.
Yep.
So getting to see a couple of these characters kind of exposed in front of the world, especially because it's Mojo. He's broadcasting everywhere.
Yep. And getting this Jorge Molina artwork based off this story with Cullen Bunn, Mark Guggenheim. But Jorge Molina is, one of my favorite of our current artists working on stuff. His stuff is just so fun, so kinetic, and just so beautifully detailed. I love it. And he's drawing everything under the sun in this book.
He really is, and it's really cool. I actually, you know what? I'm really partial to the way he draws Jimmy Hudson. I think he draws a really cool Jimmy.
Oh, yeah.
Because I'm also a bit of an Ultimate Universe fanboy.
Yeah.
So I always like
Hard
seeing.
not to be.
Yeah. Well, that was my gateway drug.
Yeah,
Was,
it was one of my
through the X-Men.
And one of my one of my comic book renaissance was the Ultimate stuff that was free online on Marvel.com years ago. I'm very old.
Yeah.
I'm very, very old. All right, so one down.
One down.
Up
That's
next.
one. Up next, we've got U.S.Avengers, and I've got this cool lenticular
Whoa. Is
edition.
it old? Is it new? Is it old? Is it new?
And this is great because, of course, it's an homage to the Fantastic Four. We've seen a lot of homages to Fantastic Four in these covers.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that's really cool.
Jack Kirby covers. If you're going to homage something, you homage from the king.
Of course.
You know?
And so there's some great stuff. We'll show off the actual lenticular, not shiny art.
Yeah.
But it's very cool. U.S.Avengers is, for my money, probably my favorite Marvel book. It's like in my top 3, if nothing else. U.S.Avengers is amazing because it's been so much fun. And Al Ewing is really writing some of the weirdest characters in Marvel right now.
Oh, yeah.
And
It's a bizarre and exciting action book. Oh.
And this issue we have Paco Diaz on art, and really some cool stuff. He draws the team really well. And this is also, so a couple of these issues of Legacy are kind of like meta. They're kind of like doing this really weird thing. Like X-Men Blue's got a lot of that because it's Mojo and he's doing commentary. But in this, we get to see, you know, some fun stuff that's making fun of, or not necessarily making fun, but, you know, playing around with the idea of the old Norman Rockwell classics, you know, your old school stuff. Very fun, very cool.
I mean, how often do you see a Celestial in fedora? You know, that's not something you see in many comics, but Al and Paco bring it to you hot.
Yeah.
Yep.
And
this book is crazy and awesome.
It's really cool. It's really fun. And also, you know, the storyline's called Cannonball Run, and Cannonball is one of my favorite mutants of the Marvel Universe. You know, I would say an X-Men, but he's been an X-Men and an Avenger, and on the U.S. Avengers, I think he's really been pretty awesome.
He's amazing, and he's an external. So if you don't know what that is, get on Wikipedia, look it up. It's
for some
crazy.
90s,
for some 90s
stuff,
real craziness.
Which is very cool, and U.S. Avengers is a lot of fun. Really happy with it.
Oh, yeah?
Now, as we continue some X-Men books, we've got Jean Grey, issue number 8, and a couple different covers here. I am a sucker for this one. This is this is possibly my favorite lenticular out of all of them.
It's really
because Mike Mayhew does an homage to John Cassidy's Astonishing X-Men, and as much as I love the effect, you just got to look at that because that's
beautiful.
So cool.
Flipping the original one where it was Emma holding back Cyclops' blast. Now it's Jean Grey covering Emma's eyes. It's a really cool homage.
Yeah.
They really nailed that. And here is the regular cover of Psych Wars Part 1 with Jean Grey. Yeah, I mean, this is something that you haven't gotten to see a lot of Jean and Emma since the end of that Uncanny X-Men volume.
Yeah.
The previous Uncanny X-Men volume. And so this has been one that a lot of people have been waiting for, and the art in here is just...
Oh, Victor Abana's art is amazing. He's played with a couple of the X-Men books. I remember him on Storm a couple years back.
Yeah.
He did some Extraordinary X-Men as well, I believe. And it's just always great. He's really a top talent. And you'll notice, so I'm flipping this open, and you see that this is clearly not like the present day stuff. We've got some, you know, because it's Jean Grey and Emma Frost. They can play mind games. They can kind of go on a trip through memory lane, and it's actually going through it, you know, much more literally than a lot of other characters. So we got a lot of the Grant Morrison era new X-Men stuff being referenced here. And
Dennis Hopeless is so good. He's just so good. We used to work together on Spider-Woman, amongst some other things. Doctor Strange recently.
Yeah, I loved his Doctor Strange in Secret Empire.
Butt on that. And this is no different. It's so good.
It's really cool, and it's great. You know, this is like a love letter. If you're a fan of like X-Men lore, this is a lot of stuff because not only do we get the Grant Morrison new X-Men stuff, but we also just get a lot of playing with all the toys, and we know that we've got the Phoenix Resurrection book coming up on the horizon. Ooh. So you have to, you kind of got to pay attention to Jean Grey. There's no way that you can't be aware of what's going on.
Like, you know, nothing's done on accident here.
Yeah.
You know, and there have been so many conversations about this up at the office, so everyone is in for a real treat.
I'm super excited, and especially with the looming presence of the Phoenix Force. Very interesting stuff. Some foreshadowing, I have to assume. Now, a bit of a tonal shift.
Woo.
We've got Despicable Deadpool. Now this is great. This one is really fun. First off, I love this cover.
It's so good.
This is such a simple cover, but it's so cool because, and it was funny because I remember when the Solicit came out, and I was looking at this cover, and I was like, oh man, cool. They're like making fun of Cable. They've got like, you know, Deadpool's wearing the arm. Isn't that funny? And then you read it, and he's actually got Cable's arm.
He does.
The first issue has like that crazy scene.
It's brutal.
Where he
literally cuts Cable's arm off using a katana. And he takes the arm and he mounts it, and he cuts his own arm off.
Yep, he does it really creatively too.
Yep. Jerry and Scott Koblish are making such magic in this comic. A lot of people, see, I am not a natural Deadpool fan. When I was a fan before, I've been at Marvel for a long time, for 15 years. And before that, I was a huge fanboy. But Deadpool was never one of my books that I even was that exposed to.
It didn't tickle your fancy?
No, it was. I never thought it was for me. And I think I'm completely wrong. Because, you know, in supervising Jordan D. White, who's the editor of this and has been for years, and a couple of people before him, I started reading Deadpool, and it's one of my favorite books now. They do some of the craziest stuff.
This is absolutely absurd.
Oh, yeah.
What they've been doing in Deadpool, because I mean, obviously he's been on it for a number of years now. He's been on it for about 5 years now.
At least.
Yeah,
5-6 years.
And so he has one of the most substantial runs on the character. But you
I
see
believe
why.
he's written more than any other person of Deadpool.
I
think Jerry's
wouldn't.
written.
I would be pretty confident in that.
And
yeah.
the thing is, everyone thinks that Deadpool is just a joke comic. But I will, dollars to donuts, I think Jerry and company have written more like harrowing, soul-crushing moments in the last few years.
Yeah.
Even
Even the last few months
Yes.
for Deadpool.
Oh, with the Secret Empire
It was
stuff.
a horrible summer for
Yep.
Deadpool.
It was a
like
horrible
awful.
summer. Yep.
And especially like last issue, because whether it's emotional pain or just physical, everybody's like, oh, he can heal from everything. Doesn't mean he likes it.
Nope.
He's not a
It
happy
hurts.
guy. And this really, I think, is making Deadpool pretty miserable.
And speaking of legacy stuff, are there any Walt Simonson fans out there? That's a dumb question because everyone is a Walt Simonson fan, or you've never read anything that he's done. So one of the things that Walt, I believe, brought us years ago was the Time Variance Authority.
Okay.
And so the Time Variance Authority, which are basically like time cops, they go and they make sure that people aren't traveling out of time, and they usually screw up their own jobs. But this story actually ties into the original Time Variance Authority issues.
Really?
Yeah.
So it fits into the cracks of those?
It fits into the cracks of those.
Wow.
And Jerry and Scott and Jordan and company do such an amazing job playing with time and classic comics, but especially the relationship between Deadpool and Cable.
Yeah.
If you don't think you're a Deadpool reader, you're wrong. This book is so good, not just being funny, but as a human, heartbreaking piece of glory.
Yep. This has been a really pleasant surprise. Deadpool has been absolutely incredible.
It's the best.
So now we continue down, and we've got one of my favorite heroes in all of Marvel, Captain Marvel.
Captain Marvel, Carol Core,
Yep.
represent.
Completely engrossed in her narrative over the years, and I'm really happy we get to see her returning to some nice big numbers. Issue 125.
125.
I'll show off this cover. Now this one's cool because it's of course Incredible Hulk.
Yep.
But it's very cool, very nice cover here. Here, we'll show
How
that
it
transition.
lenticulates.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's
a word.
Is that okay?
That's a word, lenticulate.
Yeah.
Yep. That's what happens when you look at a lenticular cover.
So, but this book has been really cool. I've been a big fan of, I read everything with Carol in it. I always make sure to follow her. She's a really cool character. And here we get to see a really difficult position for her where she kind of has to take a day off, but like she can't because it's Carol, And it is really cool. We get to see a lot of fun stuff with Alpha Flight. And I do think the Alpha Flight, the space station, and everything these last few years has been one of my favorite additions to the Marvel Universe because it just was such a natural fit.
Yep.
And I really like how it's being played out here.
And when you got Margie Stoll, who is terrific. What a great writer and what a great person. And Michele Bandini on this one.
Yep.
And I will tell you this right now. The events of this Dark Origins story are going to have pretty huge ramifications.
Okay.
At our last retreat, we were talking a lot about some stuff that's about to happen in this book. That has to do a lot with some other things that are coming up, and actually some things you've seen, but I don't want to spoil it. There's some pretty recent, pretty huge things that have happened that this actually ties into.
Okay.
And I'm not gonna.
So now I'm really curious.
Yeah.
What she's got going on in the back
Yep.
that we don't know.
Yep, you're gonna have to keep reading and find out. But it has something to do with this. If you look at this awesome Phil Noto cover, there seems to be a kind of a dark reflection. And what on earth could that be? You have to read and find out.
Yeah. Wow. That's a hook.
Yep.
Very cool. I'm really a big fan of what's been going on with Captain Marvel. And of course, here,
thank you.
pass that down to you. We got to talk about Black Panther.
Black Panther.
I mean, Ta-Nehisi Coates has been on a tear for what, about a year, a little over a year and a half now.
Yep.
He's been doing an amazing job, and he's honestly built himself this amazing lived in Wakanda. It is one of the most in-depth and rich parts of the Marvel Universe. And it's crazy to think that he's done this all in a year and a half.
Oh my gosh, he has such a huge imagination, and he has such huge plans for Black Panther. And one of the things, you never know when someone comes into the comics industry from a different industry. From Ta-Nehisi's work at the Atlantic and his prose and his books. You never know what you're going to get as a writer. And usually they want to wall themselves off in their own sandbox because they don't want to deal with continuity. Whereas Ta-Nehisi is a huge comics
Oh,
fan.
yeah.
Huge fan of what
Well,
the things that like Jonathan Hickman.
And I love how it plays out in this.
Oh, yeah.
This feels like, if you haven't been reading Black Panther, this is a good chance for you to jump on. It's a
Yep.
new story, and we're
Yep.
being introduced to Claw. And Claw's a great villain. I've
Yeah.
always liked him because Claw's the master of sound, and
He is.
he's got a giant thing on his hand,
And he's pink.
and he's pink, and
Yep.
it takes a bold man to wear a pink outfit and not have a nose.
Oh, yeah.
And all that, but
Yep.
he's great. He's such an iconic design, and
If they'd only put him in a movie.
if only,
If only
right?
they'd put him in a movie.
So it's very cool, and actually, I'm just happy to see that this is playing
Just-
out so well.
Yeah. And just in case you didn't read between those lines, he is going to be in a movie. He's going to
Yeah.
be in the Black Panther.
He's in
movie.
Black Panther in
So,
February.
Indeed.
Yeah.
So,
And he
this
was
is
already in Age of Ultron.
He was.
He had two hands, so.
just very briefly.
Yeah.
But the thing is, you got to check this out, especially if you're gonna want or you're excited about that Black Panther movie. This would be a great place to wet your whistle.
Yeah.
To get a little taste for Claw, to get a taste for Black Panther, and to enjoy the wonder that is Ta-Nehisi Coates' writing and Letterkirk's art.
Yeah, it's really great. It's
Mm-hmm.
been a delight. It's been really cool, and it's such an in-depth and different book than what certain readers might expect. This
Yeah.
really does feel like he's on a different continent. He's in his own world,
Yeah.
and it's been built up really nicely.
So good.
So it's great. Now, another superstar artist who came to us from a different world, Gabby Rivera's America.
Oh yeah, the writer. Yeah,
Yeah, Gabby Rivera.
Awesome person too. I met her at New York Comic Con for the first time.
Yeah.
She's a delight. She's a delight.
And
this book is crazy.
it's been great. I've been on America since day one. I do really like this homage cover here with
Oh,
the
yeah.
classic Romita art, which is
Uh-huh.
great. One of the most iconic Spider-Man covers
Yep.
ever.
And I love this cover, this Joe Quinones
Yep.
cover here too. Joe is amazing. He was so incredible. I had to steal him away.
Yeah.
He's coming over to Peter Parker's Spectacular Spider-Man.
Oh, really?
Yep. Spoilers. I think we've announced it, or at least talked about it a little bit. If
Yeah.
not, I've just spoiled it for you.
Well, he is amazing talent. He's been.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, he's been putting out some great stuff with America. I've loved his art for years. He's done some great stuff. I remember, of course, Joe's all over social media, and you can follow him. But he posted a little grid that was all of his covers he's done. He was
Yep.
bragging about them, and I was looking, and I was like, oh man, like I've been loving your stuff back since those Gauntlet
true.
covers, like
It's true.
years ago. He's really put out so much great work. And America is a really cool book. Gabby Rivera has been having a lot of fun
Yeah,
building
Gabby's
up.
so good. And Joe
a lot.
Rivera on inks, Jordan Gibson on colors.
Yeah.
It's just such a great team and such a unique team. We're living in a very special time with comics.
We
I
are.
feel incredibly lucky with so much, and this is one of the books that really excites me, and it's just so cool. And the Exterminatrix right on the
Well,
cover.
and that's the thing that's so
from
cool. is-
Marvel Boy.
And that's
back
the
in
thing,
day.
and it pulls back to some of
Yeah.
the classic stuff. Like,
Yeah.
this isn't the first time they've even met, because there was some stuff with the Young Avengers a few
Yep.
years back where there was a little bit of a scuffle. And so it's great because stuff like that really brings cohesion to the universe.
Yeah.
You see a character that you've seen before, but maybe you only saw her a little bit here, but you know her, you know that face, and you're like, wait a minute.
And her eyes are mouths, like not really, but like the shape of them are like lips around it. It's
Yeah.
just so cool.
It is really cool.
So cool.
It's a great book.
Oh
So,
boy!
now,
Now this is one that I can talk about.
This is, all right, so we'll let Nick take the lead
Especially.
here.
All right, so this is The Fall of Parker, an Amazing Spider-Man. This is issue 790. This is our second part of the Marvel Legacy arc. Dan Slott writing, Stuart Immonen on the art. Oh,
He's for my money, he is probably my favorite Spider-Man artist of all time.
Well, you're not wrong.
Because he's done so many great things. I loved him
Yep.
years ago on Ultimate Spider-Man.
Yep.
He did a great job when he was on New Avengers. He always drew like a really cool Spider-Man.
he was. I've been trying to steal him away onto Spider-Man ever since I've been on Spider-Man. Stuart and I go way back. We worked together on Stuart's first, or when Stuart came back to Marvel. I think it's 13 years ago now.
Mm-hmm.
We worked together on Ultimate Fantastic Four together.
That
Ultimate
book.
X-Men.
Yep.
Next Wave, which is, if you haven't read
You're
Next
just
Wave.
naming like all of the greatest hits.
Oh,
Those
yeah.
are all
Oh, yeah.
amazing runs.
Next Wave, I edited that, and that is my favorite thing I've ever worked on. If you haven't read Next Wave,
Read
live
it.
your life. You're missing out. What is wrong with you? Go get it.
It really Next Wave is something else.
12
it's got
issues.
It's got MODOK,
Perfection.
but he's Elvis.
Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah.
I won't even tell you the other 11 issues worth. But you got a MODOK
Yep.
who's Elvis.
Anyway, but back to this. Stewart has once again reinvented himself. This is a guy who's reinvented himself as an artist probably at least 13 times over the last
13
decade
years.
and a half, 2 decades. And yet he always seems current.
Yeah.
He's always cutting edge, and it's great. And so having him paired up with Dan Slott, who I love working with. We've been working together for a little over 3 years, and we're getting to some of the nitty gritty stuff that Dan has been planning for quite some time.
And that's what I love about Dan's Amazing Spider-Man is that it all builds.
Yep.
Everything that happens in this book comes from another book, and I think that he does a great job over the years. He's really built a cool dynamic between Johnny and Peter, which is one of my favorite things because, of course, that's one of the classic friendships going way back to the original, days of Stan Lee, right, and everything. But they were always buddies.
Oldest friend.
And,
And a sweet Alex
showed us
Ross
off a
cover.
little bit.
Oh, yeah, more amazing art. And one of the coolest things about this, because this is the kind of thing that can sometimes seem like a quiet, unimportant issue. It's done in one, but don't let that make you think that it's not important because when Dan Slott is writing, you know that he is either laying down threads that will be threaded together later, or he's pulling them together.
Yeah.
And this is definitely a laying down threads issue.
Oh yeah. And what I like about this is, you do feel complete having read it. You read one issue, you got your story.
Yep.
And I think it's really cool because it's both building up for the next issue, but if you're like, man, I've never read Spider-Man before, I don't know what I'm getting into, boom, you get a full story.
Yep.
And that's kind of a really difficult dynamic, and Dan's got it down.
Got it down.
Down it down. It's a great book.
Got to pick it up.
So as we close
Sorry
off
for being so loud.
that week's worth
last
of books,
week's.
last week's,
Yep.
we've got All New Wolverine issue
Oh, yeah.
26, and
Give me that.
fine, I'll get my own.
You got your own.
I do have my own.
There we go. Boom.
Love this cover. Dodson's.
Yep.
Amazing.
The Dodsons. Lovely people as
Yeah.
well. Lovely people. If
That's
you get a chance to meet
always what I
Terry
hear.
and Rachel at a convention, you got to meet them. You got to hang out. Got to ask them questions. They're lovely.
And that's to say nothing about the interior art by
No.
Wonka Ball, which is
Oh,
really great.
Man.
And
He's
it,
pretty new
it
to
might
Marvel.
look like it's really adult, but it's not, I swear. But this cover is amazing. Or not
The
cover,
interior,
but this,
yeah.
this splash. Because
Well,
it is. It's panels, but it's,
a
one
12-panel
image.
grid, buddy.
Yeah.
But it's both a grid and a splash, and it's this Juan Cabal. He's pretty new to Marvel.
But he's done some great stuff
He
in his
has.
short time.
He
I really
has
liked
indeed.
his stuff over with Elektra,
Yep, that Electra
Really
series
cool.
underappreciated, and this issue is gorgeous.
Oh, it's so cool. And what I like is I'm a big sucker for Dakin. Dakin's actually one of my favorite, guys that not everybody really knows about, but
and I'll call him Dakin, but potato.
Yeah.
Tomato,
Well, I've heard it.
tomato.
I've heard it every way under the
Oh,
planet.
yeah.
I've heard Dakin,
Dakin, yep. Yep.
Hadoken, but it's really cool. And I like that this
Hadouken!
is a nice playback to some of the stuff that we got a few years ago back when there was the Wolverine Origins book.
Yep. And what holds this, Juan is so good, and him paired with Nolan Woodard on colors, so good. And Tom Taylor, another kind of underappreciated creator.
Oh, see,
Or
you
is-
say that everybody I ever know is raving about Tom Taylor.
Yeah.
I think Tom Taylor is one of those guys that everybody's. If you don't love Tom Taylor, what's wrong with you?
Yeah, you haven't
because
read
Tom Taylor is great.
You haven't read his work.
He's really amazing. I've never read a bad comic by him.
Yep. He's a delight. He's a delight.
Yeah, and this book is really cool. Laura has, she's been going, even just a couple issues of Marvel Legacy.
Yeah.
She's gone through a lot, and what I like too is that it's not just spectacle. There's a lot of spectacle. You get a lot of that stuff with Dakin, but she's going through an emotional journey, and it's very harrowing because if you've read, I love the old, X-23 miniseries. I loved New X-Men, and over the years, you just saw the character kind of get beat down a lot. This is almost like a big payoff for a lot of that pain.
And if you're a big Tom Taylor fan, keep your ears to the wind. There's some big
Ears to
news
the wind.
coming up. That's a
Okay.
new cliche I've just made up. Ears to the wind.
Ears to the wind. That's awesome.
There you go.
So very cool. Now we've got this week's stuff.
This week.
Some great stuff. And
I'm very excited.
first off, we've got Spider-Man. Going back to that Marvel Legacy numbering.
Yep. And this is another one that I edit. So I will take the blame for the numbering. I fully believe in it, but I know a lot of people are a little upset about it. But it's fun, and it honors what Brian has been building for years, for over a decade. This book is so good. Brian Michael Bendis, again, I think he's been, whether it's quietly or not, has been building such an incredible run with Spider-Man, with this new, with Miles Morales in the Marvel Universe.
Miles has been around for about 6 years now?
I think
7
so.
years?
Yep.
Yeah. Very cool character. I mean, he's honestly, he's one of those characters, you see, they've put him in so many different things. There's references to him in the movies. Everybody loves the character. He's going to be in the new Spider-Man video game, which is awesome. When I saw the new trailer,
that game is nuts.
That game looks
so
crazy.
Good.
And I'm really excited that Miles gets to play a part.
And here we have a new Sinister Six.
Yep.
And there's a mysterious character as the Iron Spider.
Yeah, I won't spoil that. Because when I saw that, that was really cool. That's a great reveal that plays really nicely.
If you're a fan of the Ultimate Universe, this is a book you have to pick up. I'm not going to say more than that.
I do also love, Bendis has this really great habit, and I love it, where he always shows supervillain hideouts.
Yep.
And he's done it for years and years. He always makes sure that there's let's take an opportunity for the artist to just show off.
Yep.
Because that's what this is.
And that artist, Oscar Bazaldua, our new regular artist on this book, he's been with us for a couple arcs now.
Yeah, he's been for a while.
So good. And it helps having Justin Ponser color.
Yeah.
But Oscar is terrific and a real sweetheart, too. He's another superstar on the make.
I definitely think so. I mean, some of the stuff in here is gorgeous.
And a great Patrick Brown cover, the main cover. Lenticular, Mark Bagley and John Romita Sr., I believe, are two artists there. Is it John Sr.? Yeah, I believe.
Show that off.
Yep.
Very cool stuff.
That's Mark Bagley's take on it.
I also just like, something like this, it gives you an idea of how the Marvel Universe has grown, when you see, Electro, and Electro has grown as a character and changed, and, now it's become a legacy in itself. Mm-hmm. Very cool. Spider-Man, good stuff.
Spider-Man 234.
So, now we have one of my
in a new
favorite.
week, then I'm gonna have to sing every title and number.
Okay.
Okay?
All right.
So we got Power Pack 6-3.
So this is actually great. I've got over here the very cool. I like these, the trading card variants.
Yep.
And if you flip them, you've
got
all the
John
stats.
Tyler Christopher.
John Tyler Christopher does all of them, and they're amazing.
Ooh-wee.
And I must say, it's Power Pack. Power Pack is back. The
Power
pack is
Pack's
back.
Oh, there's so many returns here. It's also Devin Grayson's return.
Yeah, Devin Grayson, been a while.
Yep.
Very good stuff here. This was really fun. This is a one-shot, so if you guys don't know, Marvel Legacy has a number of one-shots that are coming out this month. So they're characters that you get to kind of get a little sampler.
Yep.
You read Power Pack, you get a full story in one issue. This is it. You're good.
Yep.
And there's going to be a bunch of them. There's going to be Master of Kung Fu. We've got some Darkhawk coming up.
Oh, yeah, Silver Sable.
Yeah, Silver Sable and the Wild Pack. Oh, my God.
Not Brandeck.
Freaked out.
Yep.
But this is really cool, really fun. I actually really enjoyed it because, it's told through kind of a flashback, but kind of shows what's going on in the present day. Once again, the Power Pack have grown and changed its characters over the years. We've got members of the Power Pack that, the kids are still kids. But, of course, like somebody like Alex, he grew up,
Yeah.
We got to see him grow up, and he was in Jonathan Hickman's Fantastic Four and Future Foundation.
He sure was.
I really like that. I really like the way that these characters have grown over time. I mean, Lightspeed, too, I always thought was cool, because I was a big fan of Avengers Academy.
Yeah.
And so when she joined that book, it was really cool.
It's so good.
This is great.
Oh, great art by America Cresta.
Yep.
Chris O'Halloran on colors, who is chums with Jordi Belair and Declan Shalvey. I think he was in their studio as one of their interns, apprentices as well.
Okay.
But, it's a great book.
It is. It's very cool. And I like this
Power
cover.
Pack. JTC.
These are great. And also, this is funny because they're all squeezing in.
Yep.
I like that.
All right, and we got Iron Fist 74.
So I will say, I was a fool. I was a fool because...
Finally, you've admitted it.
I've admitted it. I did not realize just how great Iron Fist was.
Yeah.
And these last couple issues, this is like the sleeper hit. I don't think enough people are talking about Iron Fist because this book is great. And we've got, so obviously Ed Brisson's been doing this for a while with Mike Perkins on art, and it's been amazing. But now we get to see really playing with the history of Iron Fist. They're hunting for the book of the Iron Fist. If you guys didn't read last issue, you can still jump on. You can pick up last issue too, because it is worth it. But it's great because we also get to see a classic villain coming back. We get to see a Constrictor.
Yep, Constrictor and Sabretooth.
And Sabretooth.
It's
it says something about me that I'm more excited about Constrictor.
It really
than
does.
Sabretooth. Yep.
It really does.
I'm a bit of a weirdo like that.
But I mean, you probably talked about this with Tom when he was here 2 weeks ago. But Sabretooth is an Iron Fist villain.
Oh yeah.
I'm not sure if you know that. Iron Fist villain. First appearance, Iron Fist.
Yep.
But this is so good. Ed and Mike. I mean, Mike, I've worked with a ton over the years. Mike and I, we did this Carnage series together.
Okay.
With Jerry Conway writing it. And
Yeah, I
we worked
remember
on
that. Yeah.
Astonishing X-Men, all kinds of stuff over the years. Ed is kind of newer to Marvel, but he is
And he's
so
a new exclusive.
New exclusive.
Yep.
He came to our last retreat and cooked up some sick upcoming stories, some huge, awesome upcoming
well,
stories.
because the scope of this book is so big.
Yep.
And I like that. I like an Iron Fist. Iron Fist has this great history where his book is always good.
Yep.
I don't think Iron Fist has bad stories.
And you
really.
get some incredible art fight scenes that Ed and Mike do together. That's just unbelievable.
They're really cool. And this whole thing has been great. I'm really enjoying it. This is one of my favorite Marvel Legacy titles. This book is amazing.
Great
Sabretooth
book.
Round True, such a good story. And if you guys watch like the Netflix shows and anything like that,
I do.
It's really easy to get into.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Excellent.
So now we
Up next.
continue, and we've got
Iceman 7.
very cool stuff. I'm a sucker for Kevin Wada cover.
Oh,
Kevin
yeah.
Wada, I love Kevin
Kevin's
Wada's
great.
art. He's
He
an
just did
amazing
some
artist.
Runaways variant covers.
He
for
did.
me.
He did a set of 3 that I loved, and this is great. Obviously, Sid Grace has been having a lot of fun.
Yep. Scene is great. Robert Gill, who's been, he does some incredible art. A lot of people, I think some people might get the wrong idea about this book, thinking it's a small book. But even you just get a few pages into this, and you see how huge.
Well, I don't think
this book is.
the story is called Champions Reunited, and that immediately just blows it all up.
Yeah.
Because it's not just Iceman. I mean, it's obviously Iceman centric, but we get to see a lot of his classic teammates.
Ghost Rider, Hercules, Angel, Darkstar, and Iceman. It's
and
great.
Iceman. And
It's
Iceman, I didn't know Iceman was in Iceman. Whoa.
Right?
Yeah.
That's a shocker. What a
But
twist.
it is really
It's
great.
the I See Dead people of the Iceman comic.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. It's been really cool. I'm a sucker for Hercules. I actually, what's cool? What's great
what's
right now?
cool?
Hercules and
Yeah.
Ghost Rider, 2 loved fan favorite characters from
Yeah.
over the years. They're in multiple books right now.
Yeah.
We've got Ghost Rider in a couple places because he's here. He's in Spirits of Vengeance. Hercules is obviously in this and Avengers. And I think that's so great that these characters that have been around, that have contributed so much to the history of the Marvel Universe, now we can find them in different places. And it's great, and it feels natural. It
Yep.
feels like the way, this is how the Marvel Universe is, Sometimes you
'cause
see
it
your
is,
buddy in
'cause
different places.
The stories drive it.
Yeah.
The stories drive it. Our creators drive it. They come up with these incredible stories, and we work with them, and we try always to let the story be the thing that is in that has the wheel.
Yeah,
So
it's good stuff.
there you have it.
Now,
one of my favorites.
Yeah, now we got one of those wacky ones.
Guardians of the Galaxy, number 146.
Very cool stuff.
Thank you.
He's really getting into the singing. But it's great. This is great. This is one of my favorite covers of all time. Infinity Gauntlet.
Oh yeah.
One of my favorite covers. I had pillows with it.
There you go.
For years. So it is probably
Original by George Perez.
Yep. It's probably the cover I have seen more than any other image
Yep.
in all of comics. Is probably
And then Ron Lim comes in to do the homage.
and
Ooh,
nails
dog,
it.
yeah.
Nails it. Does an amazing job. This book is really cool.
And we were already talking about Jerry on Deadpool.
Yep.
Jerry Duggan writing this. We have Marcus Toe on art. But when Jerry is writing something, he kind of like Denslot is a builder.
Oh,
They
definitely.
build long-term things that they pay off in ways that you can't within a couple issue story.
Yeah.
You can get the gravitas, and they're very much in the building mode here with this new take on the Novas.
And it's good stuff that builds on the history of what we know for these
Yep.
characters. The Nova Corps
Yep.
has this great history, some really great stories. If you guys read like the Nova series a few years ago, Dan Abnett and Lanning one, they really spent a lot of time focusing
Yep.
on the Nova Corps. And here, I'll show off the primer pages because it's a great way to spotlight that we've
yeah.
got a new member on this team.
Yep.
And Ant-Man. Ant-Man has joined the cast. And I always, that's what I like about Guardians. I like when Guardians kind of has that character where you're like, why are you there?
Yep.
But that adds such a refreshing dynamic.
Absolutely.
Ant-Man didn't have a whole lot going on right now.
Yep. And he shakes up.
It was a good way. I think it's a really good way to kind of shake up the character and to put him in unfamiliar surroundings.
And it shakes up the team. It shakes up the Guardians team too, which is extra cool.
It is very cool, and it's great. I'm already really digging his dynamic with Gamora. Because there's some really fun banter between the two of them. And this is great. I'm a sucker for Ant-Man. Ant-Man's great.
Yep.
Also, and it's not like end of the world spoilers, but they're facing off against Ultron.
Ultron
and if you guys read, I've just mentioned some of the older Guardians of the Galaxy and Nova stuff, Ultron is insane once he hits space.
Oh, yeah.
You do not mess with him. And in the last couple of years, we saw him pop up briefly in Secret Empire, but, there was also the Rage of Ultron.
Yep.
And Uncanny Avengers that have established this really terrifying new version of Ultron. He's grown as a character, and Ultron's always grown. He's always had different forms,
and
his
Jerry's
latest
got some huge
is
plans
terrifying.
For him. It's so good.
It's great. I'm really, really on board with this.
Go get it.
Now, I'm gonna skip here.
What?
And we're gonna swing around to Avengers because I wanna save this one for last.
Avengers number 673.
Very cool. Lots of fun here. It's Worlds Collide Part 3. This is a crossover with the Current Champions book, which Mark Waid is, of course, writing both of them and doing an amazing job. I think that these are so cool. And we've got the High Evolutionary. And with the High Evolutionary, the stakes are also going to be high.
Yep,
and
it's true.
Yeah.
I mean, we got Mark Waid, Javier Pina, and the art is incredible. The story is great. And like you said, High Evolutionary, there's a character that has had his fingers in a lot of different pies.
Oh, yeah.
In the Marvel Universe. So getting him here is such a treat as well.
Oh,
it's just, there's a little more weird Marvel than the High Evolutionary.
He is one of those weird characters. I just went and I I read a lot of the 90s Heroes for Hire where you see a lot of High Evolutionary because he was in the Quicksilver book and stuff like that. And he's always got this weird,
He loves mixing up animals and humans.
Yeah. You don't trust the High Evolutionary.
No.
At all.
No.
Hickman used him a bit in his Fantastic Four stuff as well.
You don't want to leave your kids with him for a weekend.
No. Oh, well,
no, that's a bad idea. It's a bad idea.
So, really cool, really great stuff here. And Avengers, Avengers feels like it's got everybody in it right now with this crossover. It's got a lot going on.
And there's only 2 negative things I've heard about this book.
Okay.
1, Tom Brevoort edits it.
Okay.
Yeah,
I understand.
2, I've heard Mark Waid complaining about his the other writer collaborating with him on this Champions Avengers crossover.
Yeah.
So.
That's the way it goes.
Yep.
You can't have everything.
Yep. Mark Waid hates Mark Waid.
Yep.
It's true.
So, and speaking about Mark Waid.
What?
We, of course, have.
There's more?
There's more Mark Waid. Captain America.
Captain America 695.
This book is amazing.
Oh.
This is basically a perfect comic book. I will say this is just about the most perfect comic book on the stands.
Well, the way they made it was they found all the joy in the world. They got it, they took it all, and they pressed it into a comic book form.
I think that's a fairly that makes sense. That makes sense. It explains it all.
It's science.
Show
it's
off
just science.
Inside with an Alex Ross cover.
Yeah.
A gorgeous piece.
Yeah.
That really it tells you everything you need to know.
And if if that's not enough for you, you have this awesome Chris Samnee cover, Matt Wilson colors. And
I talked about this on Twitter a little bit myself. I think Matt Wilson has found the perfect palette for Captain America.
Yeah.
I think that this is the most Captain America I've ever seen. We both got different pages too. We're both like, look at how gorgeous this is.
The red and the blue are like he's got the perfect blue and the perfect red. And they accentuate each other so wonderfully, but they're just so bright and they're so true, and it's so great. It's such a great story.
And I like this. I talked about it a little bit with the Spider-Man issue. I love a book where you can read an issue and you get the full story. And with this issue, you get the full story. It's building. You can tell that there's going to be more. Obviously they're going to be on this, but this is great because you can hand this off to just about anybody. And if you were to ask, what do you think of as Captain America? It's going to be this. This is exactly what you want Captain America to be.
You could ask someone who's never heard of it, be like, what do you think of Captain America? Don't answer. It's this.
Yeah. And it makes me really
You can feel
happy.
free to use that as the line.
Yeah. This is Captain America. And it's Mark Waid coming back to the character after like 20 years.
Yeah. And
he had one of the most substantial runs. He defined the character in the 90s for a lot of that.
Unbelievable. Like his very first story that he and Ron Garney did together.
Yeah.
When they did a run together on Captain America is one of my favorites. It was really the thing that made me fall in love with Captain America. I was a big X-Men head at the time. That's pretty much all I read. Then some people started talking about their run on Captain America. Picked it up and they blew me away, and I was in love.
It's great, and he just gets him.
Yep.
He gets how to write Cap. He understands Steve Rogers, and this is everything I think fans have really wanted to see with the character. This is Steve.
It's Steve,
and it's great. It's really fun and it's really cool, and I think that it is really great because it's going to be building up some nice stuff.
Oh.
We've obviously it's $6.95. You can't ignore the fact that it's going to be $700.
Oh wait,
soon.
what?
Shh.
In like 5 issues?
Shh.
Oh man, I'm not good at math, but I'm pretty sure that's right.
So I'm very curious because you've got two ridiculously qualified guys that are on this book, and I can't wait to see where they steer the ship.
It's gonna be amazing. You got to pick it up.
You got to pick it up.
Marvel Legacy.
Marvel Legacy. Look, we're out of books.
We're done.
We're done. But you know what? I have good news though.
What?
Wednesday is only 2 days away.
Get out of town.
And luckily,
I'm not good at days of the week either, so thank you for that.
There's going to be a lot of new stuff, and honestly, Marvel Legacy has so much to enjoy. We're about a month and a half ish in, and all the books have been really fantastic.
I'm glad to hear you say that.
It's a really good jumping on point for a lot of readers. All these books, they're all they're part one, they're part two of the story. They're really easy to get into, and I like that they really seem to subscribe to that old Stan Lee method of every comic is somebody's first.
Absolutely.
And these books are really approachable, and I think that for new fans and for old fans, you'll see a lot of what you want.
Oh yeah, you don't want to miss them, and they're also laying down huge threads that are going to pay off later in Merry Marvel fashion as well.
Exactly. So you heard it here. There's some great stuff from Marvel Legacy. And you guys should swing by, pick up some great books. Come by.
Come down to Midtown. That's my comic book store of choice as well.
Yeah.
I pop in here, pick up comics. Great. I got my eye on a few. I mean, I get the Marvel books for work.
Yeah.
But I saw some choice ones that I haven't gotten yet downstairs, and I'm super excited to pick them up.
So hopefully we'll see you guys soon.
Make mine Marvel.